some interesting bar setting going on, I think. Would you agree with this thing from Rivian?
So to be clear, this is the bar like at a pole vault match, not setting tables at a bar like I do, after work. Right? Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
So I want to harken back to the podcast that we did where we went through the order process for the R1T. And we said, and if you don't believe me, go back and listen to that podcast. And if you want to know how to do that, go to our website at partscounterguru.com, click on the podcast tab, and it will take you to a page that has all your favorite, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, you can find us there. Okay, so now I digress. So we pontificated, Jay, on that episode that they were going to have to do something pretty spectacular to keep their customers happy. These are the kinds of customers that do have a high level of expectation. And we were like, well, how are they going to do this? They don't have. How are you going to get these things serviced, right? Like, how are you going to take delivery of them?
Yeah.
And you remember kind of that conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've still had the conversation as in recent podcasts about how that was going to be happening, and the announcements have been coming, more frequently with how they're going to handle, how they're going to deliver to their customer, and that give it that whole customer experience. Which, by the way, that's something that Keith and I have been really harping on for a long time is customer experience. We just, we had a recent podcast about an interesting software company out there that integrates with the dealerships to give a smooth consumer experience.
We're working on getting them on the show. It sounds like that's gonna. You'll have to subscribe and yep.
Sounds like that could happen. But this is part of that realm of...
Yeah, because they announced that... they didn't call it a concierge, but we covered this in a couple episodes back. Hey, Rivian, you're going to have a single point of contact. They're going to handle all things Rivian for you. You're gonna talk to that person. But now we have information on the actual warranty side of this. We know that they're going to have mobile service units, which, Jay, that's a thing that you've been hot and heavy on for a few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
What info do we have on the actual warranty?
Well, Rivian will basically it's a 175,000 mile warranty. Of course, the current industry standard for battery warranties is 8 years or 100,000 miles, so they're above what Tesla is doing.
And now they're calling that the drivetrain. So that's 175,000 miles. It covers your battery and your electric drivetrain.
And the drivetrain. That's right. It's an 8 year, 175,000 miles, Keith, I think is what they said.
That's right.
And everything else is covered for 5 years or 60,000 miles, which really is, my goodness, what else?
Still better than Ford's 3 year 36, GM's 3 year 36. So if you go out and you buy a Mach-E right now, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Like 3 years? Yeah.
Yes, I think it's 3 years. I think the two longest ones right now are Hyundai and Kia, which offer 10 years or 100,000 miles on their powertrain coverage, as well as 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper. They are launching, Kia is launching a bunch of vehicles, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6, which we'll get into the Kia EV6 here momentarily. But what you are seeing is these OEMs or original equipment manufacturers understanding that if they're going to compete in this market, they've got to pay attention to what some of the others have already done, and then try to do it better. Because you're trying to pull, away from loyal Tesla fans, man. That's going to be difficult.
You've got to offer an incentive. What is the incentive? It's a better... See, right out of the gate, you're not going to be able to effectively make the argument that it's a better product because it hasn't been time tested yet. Now that could happen later, and then Rivian could potentially, roll back some of their aggressive incentives, which are going to cost them. The servicing on these units, and think about this. They don't have dealerships, okay, finger quotes, right? So your traditional, like if I own a Ford F-250, I take that to the Ford dealer or wherever. I could take it to my own preferred mechanic. But the point is, I go to them. Okay, now they do have some overhead. They have a building to maintain. They have to pay for that and all that. So these guys are basically mobile service units.
It's a great. I mean, if I'm a consumer, if I'm going to think about an EV, that's an unknown for someone who's never owned one. They don't know how. You're not going to know how to deal with it. You don't know what the procedures are. You don't know what the protocol is. So they're trying to kind of reassure you that you're going to be fine. We want you to buy one. Trust us. We're going to come to you. We're going to take care of you. This is going to be a hassle-free warranty. In fact, we're going to push software updates to the vehicle to let you know when it's time to come in and get it serviced, or set up an appointment for us to come by and service it for you. But let's face it. I mean, it's an electric vehicle.
There's overhead. Like, they may not have a building to pay for, a dealership, so to speak, but they've got fleets now to maintain. They've got all the insurance that goes along with those, the maintenance of that fleet.
Right.
This is an interesting model, and it's going to cost them something to step into this.
I think that manufacturers that are getting into this, and even Tesla, you got to rely on perks to stand out from the rest of the competition out there.
Right.
And I think that's a big deal. So long warranty coverages and stress-free type, no anxiety. Oh, I've got to drive down to 200-300 miles away to get my vehicle, my EV service. But now they're setting you up for success when you buy their vehicle. So I think Rivian's made a smart, bold move here.
It could change the industry as we know it from the service side.
Look, everybody is dabbling into the EV market, and you've heard us talk. We're still the jury's still out on whether or not in 2035, as some have set their goal, 2035, 2040 to be completely carbon neutral, or all electric, I should say. I think Ford just announced, back in February, that by 2030 they're going to be all electric in Europe. I mean, these are bold statements. These are bold moves, and things will change between now and then. But if you're going to get there, you got to make it worth somebody's while to buy one. So laying out, hey, okay, we're going to, GM has they're going to have a 100,000-mile warranty. I guarantee you that's what they'll have. They've already had it on their ICE package, their internal combustion engine vehicles. And of course, Kia and Hyundai on their gasoline engines as well. When you think about an electric vehicle, most of that stuff is kind of plug and play. So for a service technician to come to you, probably all they really need to have is good internet connectivity of some sort. They could even
just
have their own servers on board, for that matter. So I see this being very successful.
They're going to rely on logistics to ship parts, right? So, but here is kind of the downside. So that technician shows up. He can only carry a limited number of, highly, what do you call them? High demand items. The ones that they use a lot that are, when there's failures, it's a high rate of failure.
Right.
And they might be able to get some diagnostic data from the vehicle itself before they show up, but still you need to see what's broken with your own eyes. So where I'm going with this is likely a multi-visit service situation, right? So you take your vehicle to the dealership, there's it depends on what it is, right? Like if it's something they carry a lot of stock in, it's possible they could just fix it and you could be driving it home that same day.
Right.
That is highly unlikely with this model. This model says they come take a look, they order the parts, 2 or 3 days later they show up at your door, not theirs, yours. And then the guy comes back to install it.
Yeah.
Now, Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Nope.
Okay, let's take this a step further.
Go.
Let's say I'm you, Jay. Okay.
Ooh.
And I live in an area where I got my R1S, because, by the way, this is for both the R1T and the R1S. Those warranty
Yes.
details are for both. So let's say I've got my R1S parked out front, okay? And let's say it breaks down, or I've got a service issue. That guy shows up. He parks next to your place. He gets his tools out. Somebody's going to come running outside and tell him that they... My point is this. There are properties...
I see where you're going. You almost went right over my head.
Servicing of vehicles to try to keep an air of not... Jay lives in Bel Air, everybody.
Yeah, I'm the Fresh Prince, man.
Yeah. So there are places like that, and they're like, no, you're not going to be working on cars in the driveway. It's against the HOA.
Right. So here's what's cool about it. I mean, like Tesla, Rivian's they're gonna offer concierge service for these repairs and maintenance. It's going to include mechanics working out of a mobile van, like we were just speaking of, but they can show up for the repairs in their own driveways, and if they can't show up, they can set it up in a remote location, say, a parking lot, an office parking lot. Let's just say
that
it's just
truck
like
that Knight Rider drove into when they're just driving around the city the whole
routine
time.
Maintenance.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a situation where the vehicle won't start and it can't be moved, then that's on the owner to
we gotta have it towed.
Call AAA or someone like that can put it on a rollback and take it away or tow it. So I don't know that, honestly, that is going to play much of a factor into it, because I think that the onus is on the owner of the vehicle to know their own rules within their homeowners association. If you can't work on your vehicle in your parking lot, then you got to take it down the street, man. And that's just basically the way it is. But this is still built for success, even with that, if you throw that in there, because they can go to a parking lot or come to your office if your company allows you to have that happen. But here's the point that I wanted to make, is that this is set up for success so much. We have been working remotely. A lot of us, the workforce has been working remotely. Do you see how easy this is to get done? I mean, I think it's we have, this is the normal. Post-COVID, this is what you're going to see. There's innovation happening with some of this stuff, and if you're going to survive and build for that next problem that we may have to continue to be able to do these things, then you better have your ducks in a row and come up with these types of services. Now, I'm going to say this to your Fords and your Jeeps and Rams and guys like you that are gasoline mainly, and you have the traditional services, you might pay attention to this. And obviously there are certain things that on those types of vehicles that you probably couldn't get to in a driveway or something like that. But there are routine maintenances that could be done. And obviously everything has to be done well within the orders of the EPA and or wherever you're at as far as disposal stuff and that sort of stuff. So,
man,
I think it's really cool, dude.
Who would have thought way back when we started doing these podcasts, doing our YouTube channel, all our social media stuff, Facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus, that we'd be sitting here years later going, wow, these are crazy changes that we have seen in the industry
in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Keith, is what we
think about it, like electrification mandates going forward, new fuel developments coming out of Porsche, completely new automotive industry startups from the manufacturing standpoint. Nikola, Rivian, Tesla.
I mean, it's almost
Lordstown.
It's almost like it's a second industrial revolution. Going on, but it's more technically driven than it was mechanically driven in the past.
All right, so we're taking
that's gonna help us achieve some things, man.
Everyone, we're taking your comments on what to call this new tech-dustrial revolution. Okay, come up with.
I like that.
Leave it in the comments on the YouTube side. It's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Is that right, Jay?
That is correct.
And you'd think I'd get this right eventually. And then I just want to hear some ideas on what we're going to call this, because we are kind of at a turning point here in terms of an age or an era. So let's hear it, everybody. Tell us what you think.
Yep. Here, do that. Just go to partscounterguru.com. There's a comment section there. You can leave us a comment, and while you're there, you can just subscribe to our podcast. There's a podcast link. If we mention anything within this podcast, the mention on the podcast tab is there as well. You can purchase items, various items that we speak of. You can also shop on the Amazon link that's up top. If you shop through there, we don't know who you are or what you're buying, but anything you purchase can definitely help us keep the show going, so we appreciate that in advance. If you're social media guys, you can check us out over on facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus. If you want to check us out on Instagram, we're at instagram.com/ThePartsCounterGurus. We're on Twitter. Our handle is @TheCounterShow, which is what you're listening to right now. And we're going to be spreading our wings a little bit on other platforms, so stay tuned to that. And while you're on our YouTube channel watching this video, go ahead and click that bell for us. That way you're notified every time we put something new out. And please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, thank you. And keep on watching and listening. We appreciate it. So anyway, thank you.